When the bacon is sizzling and the pan is hot, cooking with Stoney Stone, cooking up all that he's got. From the highway to the back road, he's cruising the mile. Driving with Stoney Stone, you'll be there in style. Out on the water where the big fish will bite, old farts fishing from morning till night. Check out all the catfish action with Catfish Wars. Need some great stories, he's got them to share. On his Fishing with Stoney Stone podcast, he's always right there. Oldfartsfishing.com is where you should go for the online store and the whole darn show. Real estate photography needs services for all your real estate photography needs. By Stoney's Photography. Don't hire a phony, hire a Stoney. Lots of availability. Next day turnaround, great quality, all quality and reasonable rates. Order online at StoniesPhotography.net. Join Kevin Brock for giant coconut tricks and tips. Secret corn brine for bigger coconut. Shasta Whiskey Town custom ride giveaways. Free prizes for everyone who attends. January 17th at noon. International Sportsman Show in Sacramento.
Snag 'em, bag 'em, custom hand-painted lures, custom leaders made just for you. Hook 'em big rods and racks, cute, hook 'em all, big or small, sometimes not at all. Amazing fishing, bait and tackle, home to the world's strongest fish attracted. Triple X blood, Johnson's bait and tackle, everything you need to make them fish bleed. Fish Kevin Brock, Brock's gear and guidance. Fish with the pro, catch like a pro. Champion's cleaning solutions, from top to bottom and everything in between. We get it clean. You makers, custom welding and fabrication, built with purpose, forged with precision. The winning combination. Thank you for supporting Old Farts Fishing and Fishing with Stoney Stone. fishing begin. Are you ready? The Whiskers and the Winter Catfish Bash. January 10th, be there. Clear Lake, California. Don't miss it. We have a great lineup for 2026.
Ooh, I think this is working. We are live. Thanks, man. Everybody joining. I think we're all hooked up. You saw a bunch of commercials. Started a little bit about 7 o'clock. Man, we got a packed show. Darren could not make it in the studio. He is at home. Did a call in. Darren, what is up?
Not much. Tired today. Very tired.
He's tired. Old man got his ass kicked this weekend, but we'll get into some of that details.
Mm-hmm.
As we get into this. But we got a packed agenda. We're going to talk about the results of the Catfish Bash. And please use that comment section in there to add comments, and we'll try to respond to as much as possible. We're going to talk about what's in the news. We're going to talk a little bit about LiveScope, Active Scan, 360 View, and things along those lines, and get people's opinions on that as it relates to tournaments. And I did have a team announcement that I will kind of talk a little bit about. And then the Catfish Bash, January 10th. Registration should now be open. It started at 7 o'clock, so you can go onto the Catfish Bash page, and you should see the link, the flyer, all the information for the January 10th tournament. And then we want to find out what's on Darren's mind, and that's about it. So a packed agenda. So Darren, how you feeling? Why are you hurting a little bit? Oh. Did he freeze up? I don't know. Oh,
Yeah.
there he is.
There he is.
It's kind of
What's
freezing
up?
up a little bit, but yeah, I've been up since 2:30 this morning. I had to go out and actually do some field work today. I don't know if I talked to everybody about me getting my stainless steel cert last week.
There you go.
So yeah, I went out this week and did some stainless steel welding at one of the schools in Pittsburgh, and took care of some stuff for our company, and not my company, the company I work for. But yeah, that's why I'm very tired today.
Dude, I went outside once today and went, it is cold. I'm going back in.
It was very cold,
It was
especially
very
up on a
cold.
roof.
Oh, yeah. So let's just dive into it. I'm going to break this into 3 segments for the bash. The first part's going to be how did everybody do in the championship? And, I got statistics in front of me, and we'll kind of go through majority of them. Then I'll talk about the Open, how guys did there, and a little bit of commentary. And then last is how did everybody finish for the season? And probably not everybody, because I think there's a total of 39 teams, and I'm not going to go over all 39 teams. I'll probably go over the top 10 or 15. But all of this information has been posted to the Catfish Bash page. So anything that you haven't heard or seen, you can go there as well. But I always like to tell people you heard it here first. Or at least if you called in here, didn't look anywhere else, you heard it here first. So let's go. Catfish Bash 2025 Championship. First place, Sippy Cup, came in at 69.67 pounds and also won Big Fish at 26.66 pounds. Great showing. These guys have been putting in the work all year. And, here they are finishing at the top, nudging 2 birds out into second place. With Chris Wheeler as the captain there was 66.34 pounds, and their Big Fish was 24.17. Now, I heard a story, don't know how true it is, but when they were doing some releasing of fish, that they accidentally let their Big Fish go. So I was told that their Big Fish was bigger than 24.17, but they ended up letting loose the wrong fish, and it hurt him in getting that one. So it could have hurt him in getting the first place trophy as well. We don't know. I don't know what that fish weighed. But if that's true, man, what a mistake. That's got to hurt to drop down to second place, especially in a winner-take-all situation.
Yeah.
The upset that I see here when I'm looking at the numbers is Rusty Hook. Aaron McMullen came in at third place as a wild card. This is where the wild card gets interesting when you let wild card teams in. Like I said last week before the tournament, is it's anybody's game. And there was quite a few wild cards that, pulled it out in the 11th hour. And, Rusty Hook came in at third place at 60.08 pounds. And when we get down into looking at the details for the whole year, it'll be interesting to see just where those guys were struggling a little bit throughout the year and then pulled it off at the end. Kevin Williams with Snag 'em and Bag 'em hooked Hooked with Kevin came in fourth at 58.47 pounds, and they weighed in a big fish at 25.56. Fifth place is Hook 'em Big. Hook 'em Big was another wild card. They were, favored to do well. They've had some issues, getting into the leaderboard. They didn't even make the championship, but they came in strong in fifth place with 57.31 pounds. And then Jake's team is in there. They ended up, I think they clinched like 10th spot to get into the final. Just squeaked in there, and they came in seventh place with 54.89 pounds. Real Addiction, Matt Seeper with eighth place at 54.82 pounds, and then Old Farts Fishing coming in at ninth with 53.63 pounds. Man, we worked, pretty hard. We did some pre-fishing, got a lot of good fish when we pre-fished, and went and kind of beat up the same grounds, and we were catching fish. The fish were there. But as that one saying is, do you leave fish to find fish? And it's like we had fish, we were culling fish, and we weren't just getting the big ones. And so I'm like, well, we just had to make a decision. Was it a bad decision? I don't know. It was a decision. We made it. We stuck with it. We just stayed up in that area, and it got us into what I say here, ninth place. Hogfather's wild card came in at 10th place, 53.46 pounds. Whisker Getters, David Mayo, these were guys that came in hot beginning of the year, new to the tournament scene, end up slipping a little bit more at 11th place at 52.2 pounds. That's a team that, came in hot, won the very first tournament they ever did, and just kind of slipped a little bit throughout the year. And we hope they come back for next year, and we're going to, continue to chase these big cats. Ben Harper, Bar S, another new team, was a wild card. End up getting 12th place. So they came in. Again, it's anybody's game, right? These guys are putting the work in just like everybody else, and Bar S comes in at 12th place. And I gotta say thank you to David Mayo to Ben Harper. For going and picking up the awards. Jake had an issue with the CNC guy, and things were delayed, and his schedule didn't allow him to go get them, and we needed someone to volunteer to go get those. And so he went out, drove from the Yuba City area all the way to Stockton, picked up the awards so we could have them. And just a big thank you for him for doing that. And I gave him a Hook 'em Big rod and a bunch of gear, a bunch of Old Fart stuff that he was sporting at the tournament. And then he loses the Hook 'em Big rod.
How does that happen?
I don't know. I mean, one is you're fishing a pontoon boat. Second is apparently you don't have the right rod holders. You need to talk to Daniel about getting some Hook 'em Big rod holders. And I even offered, when he was telling me this, I've got two old Hook 'em Big rods that I used to run on my boat that I'm like willing to give these to you, Mr. Bar S, to help you out. But I do have a set of some T-bar holders from Hook 'em Big that are sitting in my garage. But yeah, somebody wants those, let me know. We can arrange something for you to get those. But Ben came in at 12th space. And here's another shakeup, a little bit of a shakeup. Alley Cats. These guys were on the leaderboard several times throughout the year. And we're going to talk more about them when we look at the standings for the year. But Alley Cats slipped way down to 13th spot. They've done well all season, and not sure exactly what happened with them in this tournament, but 48.71 pounds. And then there was Sift. Darren, 14th place, 48.53. Darren, what do you got to say about your 14th place finish?
We just couldn't get out of them 12-pound fish. We caught a lot of fish, but they were all in the 12 to 14-pound range. So
I think that day you fished with Anthony and I think you had the same issue. You only caught 12-pound fish.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. I had 8 different baits, and they were only biting on 3 of them. So
Maybe you
was a rough
confused
day.
them. I don't know. No, it was. I was foggy. It was miserable to get started. I mean, I think we left the same area, the Airbnb, and I took off. Tournament mode. I'm going, and
Yeah.
it was hard to see. Anthony's with a big old spotlight. I'm running lights, and we're using navigation and telling Anthony watch for logs or people, and just keep an eye out. And I saw you behind me for a minute, and then all of a sudden, Darren just disappeared.
Yeah.
And And see, Darren's probably using that cheap internet where he just keeps freezing up. See, he
Uh,
just dropped it. There you go.
hey, it's
So
Xfinity, man.
it's Xfinity. Well, I have Xfinity too, but I pay for the high speed, whatever the biggest. Probably getting ripped off. I'm probably paying way too much, but it's pretty fast. But yeah, you got lost out there, didn't you? You were just running circles.
Yeah, I was doing circles out there, but I wasn't the only one. There was a boat that was still out there as we started blasting off that hadn't
Yeah,
even moved
Derek.
in. Yeah,
He was
yeah,
with the open. At least he had another 30 minutes, buffer because they were launching a little bit late. And I think he got in just under the wire, but they got lost out there. Jake almost ran into a mountain.
yeah,
He's going a lot, got disoriented, and then all of a sudden he's throwing his boat in reverse and getting a bunch of water all over him, and practically probably just flooded his boat with water just so he didn't run it up on the shore into a mountain. So
yeah.
it
It was a
was
little
it was
spooky out there in
sketch.
the morning.
Um, but the way I look at it too is it's we're all boaters, we're all experienced, we all should know how to navigate, and a lot of people took their time. Nobody got hurt. Everybody showed up. Everybody put in the work. So that's the one thing about tournament fishing is the elements. Everybody's got to fish the same elements.
Yeah,
Yep, yep. So that's kind of a. And then we got the Snag and Whiskers, Brian Padilla. He's another one that came dropped way down. They I think these guys come from Fresno. They have a long haul, and they came at 15th point with 37.8 pounds. So a lot of interesting things happened as far as where people finished. One thing I know with the rule change for next year, we're not doing a wild card. I believe Jake, we decided to do a top 10, no wild card spots, and the ones who don't make the top 10 can fish the open. We are doing an open again, and that gives a chance for people to compete and still fish 6 tournaments throughout the year.
yeah.
So with that being said, let's dive into the open division. There was 5 teams, 5 teams, and Jason. So you had Whisker Warriors, Jason Valley, first place at 64.95 pounds. So a strong finish. Now these guys, I think there's a Whisker Warriors 2. These guys are making a long haul, and the reason you got Whisker Warriors 2 is because they're bringing multiple boats for their team. So we had a team before, people guys that do this know Danny Barrett. Danny Barrett was fishing these things for a while, and he's off the reservation out there in Clear Lake. And he had a point. He had a plan to run 4 or 5 teams. Had a great story, a great thing going on with the kids on the reservation, trying to get them into fishing. Don't know exactly what happened, but it kind of disappeared. But there are guys that will run multiple boats for the same the team, and that's something the old farts have talked about in the past is running multiple boats, and it just it's hard. It's hard sometimes just to get 3 people on a team, let alone run multiple teams.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's great. I love the enthusiasm. I love how these guys, come a long way. They're bringing people into it. They're bringing, other boats. So yeah, that's cool. CMC Fishing, second place with 53.17 pounds. Then we go down the list to the Whisker Warriors 2, came in third place, 49.7 pounds. Then you got the Catfish Trackers, Ray Sykes with 47.74 pounds. And then Fetching the Bite, Derek, came in with 46.19 pounds. And then Perito Supreme, yes, I said that right. Perito Supreme came in at 5th place. He's a follower of Old Farts Fishing. This is his first tournament. So his very first tournament, he comes in 5th place at 26.57 pounds. I think he only had 2 fish, if I remember. Now this
new name is Slime Rocket.
Slime Rocket, changing his name, huh?
Retired Burrito Supreme. Now it's Slime Rocket.
Now he's Slime Rocket.
He's in the
That's
comments.
funny.
Yeah. But what's cool is this guy's been watching from afar, checking all this out, and decides, you know what, I'm gonna go give this a shot in the last tournament of the season, where it's foggier than hell, colder than hell. You're in there, and he's like, hey, I'm just gonna go out and have fun. He put in the work, and so I'm excited to see what he does next year. I love seeing new teams come in and get involved, and so yeah, that was cool. There's a quick rundown. I don't know, Eric, is there anything comment wise I need to address, or before we kind of go into the overall standings?
Ben was saying the rod holder broke when a big fish just ripped it and over it went. Now he has some new T-bars welded on.
There you go.
Um, just some shit was wild with the fog in the morning.
It was foggy.
Definitely
Nice and
wild.
thick.
I left the Airbnb going, hey, it's not foggy because there was no
I know
fog.
it was nice over there.
Yeah, as soon as we got on the lake, I went, oh, damn, where'd this fog
Ew.
come from? It
Mhm.
just sitting, and it was thick.
Yeah. Oh, Dan's already paid for the
Oh, people are already,
tent, so
He
Slime
wants
Rocket is gonna be top blast off.
yeah. Now, keep in mind, just as people are registering, because registration is open on the Catfish Bash page, so get those numbers in, is once you lock in your captain and your team name, that's your lock for the whole year. So,
Oh, did we talk about Happy Hookers?
Happy
Can I
Hookers.
Talk about Happy Hookers.
We can talk about Happy Hookers. They came in at
So-
6th place.
Happy Hookers, very tenacious team. They're definitely like want to be on it, and they're not going to let anything stop them. So I get back down to the dock, and there's already a boat that's come in. I'm like, that's not a good sign.
Right.
So go check it out. It's Happy Hookers. Somewhere something was leaking and their bilge pump was out.
Oh,
So
no.
they're in there like bailing out water. And I'm like, oh man, that's like, when did this happen? They're like, well, we at least got a bag before we noticed this was happening. So at least we have our 3 to churn in, and it's going to be enough for Stoney Stone.
People are targeting
And
us.
what were the weights? What were the weights there, Stoney?
What? Happy Hookers at 55.27 pounds.
And what was Old Farts?
53.63. So, yeah.
They
I
did
think
good.
So
No,
even
no, here's-
while with the boat sinking, they're
No.
still able to still beat Sift and Old Farts
here's
fishing.
the issue, right?
Hey.
Too bad I didn't protest it, but their fish were waterlogged. They were just waterlogged. Their boat was, and they're like, drink the water, and they gained a few pounds. So there you go.
Excuses, 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 Stoney. Always with the excuses.
Hey, it's good to see them kids do good though.
No, it
they've
is.
been-
It
they've been
is.
fishing hard and they did good.
They did real good, and
Yeah, and they barely showed up at the. They were there later than Darren in the fog.
Yeah.
Because same thing, they're out circling around, and they came in. It was literally ran up, signed,
Yep.
ran back downstairs.
no, they
Yeah.
came in hot, and they've put in the work. They've had some struggles, as well throughout the year,
Mhm.
and but they stuck it out, made it to the championship on a wild card, and performed. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, don't feed your fish a lot of water. There's another way to do it.
Excuses.
So let's
yeah.
get
Whisker Warriors are also signed up, ready to go. for
with your
January?
Warriors. Yeah. Now I know there's a comment here about trying to use don't use the same name. That's a little. I mean, I'd love to be able to do that. I know it creates an administrative nightmare for the ladies that are doing the numbers, but if there's teams that are running multiple boats like these guys are, I think it's they kind of want to do their branding, and I might have Whisker Warriors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. I look at it as like you can be Whisker Warriors all you want with how many numbers you want. Just keep bringing the boats. Just bring
Yeah.
the boats.
You're going to pay, you're going to pay.
Exactly. So I want to get into this series, right? So what's kind of unique about the Bash, and we talk about this all the time, is that it's a series. It's 5 tournaments with six tournaments, a championship and an open, but 6 tournaments throughout the year. It's the only series in Northern California, and we've worked really hard. Jake's worked really hard to get through the season with drama free. We started off pretty rough with a few issues, and we've been working hard to make some rules that are robust and people come, they enjoy, they like getting into this, and they have fun. And last year or this year we only had the Bash, not counting the Derby. The Derby is a totally different animal. Everybody that's fished the Derby, it's been around forever. It's basically 2 or 3 days of fishing from shore, from bank. It's one fish. So I say it's a derby. It's something different. It's not a tournament. It's not a series. It's not a pro style, anything. It's its own, kind of deal. And and it's a lot of fun if you like doing that. I personally have done it a couple times, but it's just with the bash going on, I've committed to fish the bashes. But we didn't have any other tournaments this year. We didn't have, Kings of Clear Lake. We didn't have the rodeo, right? Those were the three things that have kind of been going on. And the one thing that I say about the bash is the bash started with, it was supposed to, or it still is, but it started off as a fun get together one day, go out there, have fun, make it reasonably priced, right? Um, it used to be a lot cheaper, but it costs a lot of money to do these. It costs a lot to put these on 6 times a year. So the price has gone up a little bit. It's still the cheapest way to get into it, and I look at it. It's kind of like the farm league of 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 tournaments, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean it more of a, if you want to decide whether you want to really do a 2-day tournament, you want to get a feel for the structure, because our structure is very similar to the bigger tournaments. We just do it in one day. Is you go into the bash, $150, get your team into the bash, and then you decide, hey, I love this, I want to do this, and it's a good way to practice tournament fishing for a 2-day tournament, right? Because you're back to back. So we're basically just taking a 2-day format and spreading over 6 tournaments throughout the year. But it's meant to be a fun, challenging, get out there and everybody have a good time. And hopefully that's what, it still is. And people are having a good time and really liking it. Are you having a good time, Darren?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes, I am.
Interject anytime you want. Otherwise, I'll just be like a doll. I'll just keep rattling.
I know
And
that.
you're not here to kick me, so I can
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
So let's go through some of the standings for the top team. So here you go. You got Two Birds came in first place angler of the year, um, with a total of, I believe this is 230.59 pounds for 6 tournaments. And if I kind of break it down with, each tournament, they had a ninth place finish, a fifth place, a first, a ninth, a third, and a second. So they've kind of been towards the bottom. They've kind of been at the top. They've been all over the place with weights, but they had enough weight throughout the year to get them into that 230-pound range. And in the 2 coldest months, which I would say is February and December, they've got their biggest weights. 53 pounds in a February and a 66 pounds in December. Then Alley Cats. This is why I say Alley Cats was kind of an upset in the championship. Alley Cats was number 2 for the standings for the whole year at 212.62 pounds. They came in hot with a 4th place win, a 3rd place win, a 3rd place win. So you figure they're in the money in April, they're in the money in June. Then in August, something happens and they slip down to 11th. That's Hot August nights where it was, they struggled a little bit, slipped down with 27 pounds, 27.23. And then going into October, they come back, first place win in Mendocino with 21.14 pounds and a lake that has small fish, but they pulled it off there, and then they dropped down to 13th place at 48.71 in the championship. So they had just looking at numbers, right? They had kind of a mixed bag of they're hot, they're not, they're hot, they're not. I don't know enough about the team dynamics of what's going on there, and it might be something that we can start pulling those guesses. So if Donald, you want to get on the podcast and talk next week, or any of the teams want to continue the conversation on this, we can definitely pull you in as a guest and let's talk about that. I just find it interesting you did so well, and then 13th spot in the final. But this is tournament fishing, right? Let's see. Sippy Cup ended up 3rd overall with, what is that, 3rd place. Gonna follow my eyes here at 202 pounds, 202.86 pounds. And that was with missing a tournament. So in February, they had a 10th place finish at 51 pounds. Didn't do really well in February. April, they had no entry. They had a 19th place win in June with 18.71 pounds. And then they kind of said, what's going on? Let's wake up. Let's figure this out. And they end up with a 5th place win at 45.6, a 2nd place in October at 17.28, and then come in a 2nd place win at 69.67, almost 70-pound bag for a first place win going into the final of the year. So they started off rough, missed a tournament, and then started doing really well.
Yeah.
Um, Kevin, Kevin Williams, he's a local guy, came in fourth place overall. And just kind of looking through the numbers, he's about middle of the pack all year. He had a 13th place finish in August, but all of those other ones, he was right there, top 10 all the way through. Old Farts Fishing, my team, fifth place overall for the year. I'm like, wow, I was actually pretty shocked when I saw that number. Anthony and I
I'm
have
still
worked.
shocked about that
Yeah.
number.
We worked hard all year. We put in a lot of work. We've been trying to figure things out, trying a lot of different things. And, I felt pretty good that we came in at fifth place with a respectable weight, 189 pounds. I'd love to be in that 200, but we're at 89. But I look at ours. We started the season off rough, 21st place. I don't even remember how many teams there were in that first one. I think there was a lot more. I think there was almost 30 teams that February one.
Yeah, and did you only bring in 2 bags that tournament?
I think
too?
we only had 2 fish that
Yeah.
tournament. So we started rough at 41 pounds. And if it was truly 2 fish, like I think it was, 41 pounds is pretty respectable for 2 fish.
Yeah.
I just needed that third fish. We couldn't do it. We ended up in a 6th place, a 4th place, a 10th place, a 4th place, and then finished this, the last at a 9th place. So overall, we were pretty consistent. I think we did really well. Real Addiction, Matt Seaver's team, came in at 6th. Then you got Brian Padilla coming in with Snagging Whiskers in 7th place. And they had, a couple no entries, no fish. These guys got skunked a couple times coming into this. And then Sift, let's go through yours. You came in 8th place overall. Not bad.
Not bad for
this
the
is your
first full year.
first full year of tournament fishing. You end up with an 8th place finish overall. And let's see, you were 11th place at 50.45. Beat us, right?
Yeah.
Mendocino, you didn't fish, so we beat you by default because you didn't fish it.
Yeah. I'll let you have that one. I guess.
Because of
Let me have that one.
back problems.
Because of back problem. Hey, we
Oh,
don't want.
man.
I can't give him shit about back anymore. We'll
No,
talk
you
about
can't.
that a little bit later, but I can't
You
give
I
him.
cannot.
can.
Let me see. No fish, and then you had 11th place in June, right?
Mhm.
So let me see. These numbers are small. 3rd place, or we beat you in June, came in 11th. You go into August, you got 43, you got a 7th place in August,
Yeah.
and we came in at like 10th place, so now you're beating us again.
Yeah.
Then we go into October,
Yeah.
and
Screw that
yeah,
little lake.
at 4.9 pounds, 8th
And,
place,
and that's 3 fish.
and that's 3 fish. That's right, not even enough for a meal. I mean, come
No.
on. I
No.
think you got the 3 smallest fish you could possibly get in that lake.
I think so.
But you caught fish. You didn't get skunked.
Yeah.
Um, and then you ended up with a 14th place win with 40, what is it, 46, 48?
48.
48.53.
Yeah.
So he had a tough day on the last day of the tournament with
Yeah.
but being new to it, as you know now, right? Because you and I talk a lot, and everybody gets into this because like they love fishing, right? They love
Mhm.
whether it's striper, sturgeon, whatever it is, and then they're like, oh, they hear about this catfish bash thing, a tournament on catfish, and they get into it. And there's a lot more that goes into this than just catching fish.
Yeah.
There's the pressure you put on yourself
Yeah.
in tournament mode. Guys tend to be competitive, women too. You get in, you compete, you want to do well, and you get into it, and you put undue pressure on yourself. And I know I've done it myself. A lot of tournaments when you're struggling, you're not catching fish, or you want to make a change, and you just get in your own head, right?
Yep.
It's all about having fun, but then you get in your own head, and then you start second guessing things, and that's where the tournament part gets into it. Is
Yeah. And I've got to add too, because I think I could have beat you, but I made one very fatal mistake when
what
I
was that?
left my house here on Friday.
Oh, yes.
I left my net sitting in my garage. I had taken it
Yes.
out to put a new net on the hoop and everything, and just out of being busy and forgetfulness and old, and Yeah, forgot my net, and I lost. It had to be over 20-pound fish right at the boat. So
Wow.
that would have put a little spin on things if I'd have brought my net and got that fish. So
Absolutely. And you know, and I want to talk. I forgot. I wanted to mention two stories that happened while we were out fishing in the championship. So one was a takedown that Anthony had, and it was the weirdest kind of takedown because the planer board kind of did a, you know, as a planer, as you're trolling the planer board, everything's just kind of bouncing a little bit, right? Well, this planer board did a weird, like it moved forward. It didn't drop, it didn't pan, it just kind of moved forward. Like that was kind of weird. So Anthony kind of gets up and starts to reel it a little bit, right? And put, because the line went slack, and he reeled a little bit. Then all of a sudden that rod just wham goes down, right? He starts reeling, and then all of a sudden it goes slack again. And he's like, "What's going on?" And he's like trying to catch up to it and reel it, but this fish just darted, and it went all the way to the front of the boat, all the way around the tip of the front of the boat. And I watched the line. The line's just going, you know, all we were probably back 125 feet. And all of a sudden this fish is going the other direction with slack line. So he's, you know, trying to catch up, you know, get the line tight again. And then as soon as he gets it tight, it pulls down, and then it was snagged. He could not get it up. I mean, he pulled. He's just pulling. It's not budging. So I reel in the other three lines, and we're just like sitting here going, well, what do we do? He's like, I know it's a big fish. I know this is, and it's like he could not get it up. He just kept going and just kept there. And I'm like, well, I'm like, I didn't know what to do. He's like kind of looking at me, and he's, you know, keeping, and then he just like lets go of the put some slack in the line. He's like, let's just let some slack out. So we just let it sit there. We sat there for a good minute or so, and then all of a sudden that line gets taut again. So whatever he did went into a hole, got wrapped around something, but as soon as we let that pressure off, the line went tight, and he was able to get the fish back, and we got him in the boat, and that was one of our heaviest fish. I believe it was, you know, I don't remember it was like 19, 20-pound fish that came out of that hole. So that was kind of cool, you know, how we saved
yeah,
that fish, and that just goes to his experience in catfishing. You know, I'm not stupid. I bring in the best. I got, you know, one of the best guys on my team, and you know, he knew what to do and got it out. So we had that go on. Then we were in front of these houses with some docks, and the docks are, you know, pretty high right now with the water being as low as it is. There was this kid on the dock. He must have been, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. And we were watching him. He's fishing. All of a sudden, his rod just freaking bends over, and he's all excited, man. I got a fish. He's all screaming, I got a fish. He's all excited. His little sister comes out on the dock. She must have been like 6 or 7. And they come out, and they're fighting this fish. And I'm thinking to myself, how is he going to get that fish up off that dock, right? You know, he doesn't have a hook 'em big rod or, you know, nothing real. It was just a regular, you know, pole. I can't tell. It was a white pole. Don't know what it was, but it wasn't heavy duty. And he's fighting this fish like crazy. And as we're getting closer and we're watching him, and he gets it, and he's got it at the dock, and he's got this net, and he's trying to net this fish. And he's not reaching this fish at all. So I'm like, dude, we got to go help this kid. So we just troll over there. I speed the troller motor up. I get over to the docks, and the wind's picking up a little bit at this time. And I'm sitting here going, what are you doing, Stoney? The wind's pushing us into the docks. I'm trying to stay off the dock, trying to help this kid. I feel like it's the right thing to do. And so we get our net out, and we end up, you know, netting the fish. I pull away from the dock just so I don't hit it. And he's like looking at us like we're gonna steal his fish. I'm like, no, no, no. And so we got, you know, back close to the dock again and extended that handle and threw it up on the dock for him. And that kid was like, we just gave him a Christmas present. He was so excited, and it's like, yeah, go check our YouTube page out. He's all, Mom, I'm going to be on YouTube or something. He's all excited. And we pull away from the dock, get reset up again, and you see this kid taking this big old catfish running inside the house, right? And a few minutes later, I see him coming back, and he's throwing it back in the water. All I could think was his parents were saying, "Get that thing out of the house."
for sure, for sure.
But man, that was, I mean, to me, that was the coolest thing, is helping this kid land this fish when he's all by himself, and he's just like, he was so excited. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a feel good story we had that you know, I forgot, but wanted to mention that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. After you guys, David Mayo's team, Whisker Getters, came in with 161 pounds. These guys had a strong start, very first time out catfishing, and they take a first place win at 66.4 pounds
Yeah.
right out of the chute. Kokanee guys, walleye guys going, oh, what's this catfishing thing about? How hard
Yeah.
is this? Look at us, first place, right? They were high in the hog for a while. Then they go to Mendocino. Skunk, no fish. They didn't catch
Yeah.
anything in Mendocino. It's a very humbling experience to be in this series and go out there and come in first place and then come in last place with no fish. But going into June, they redeemed themselves a little bit here and had a 32.45 with a 12th place finish. Then we go to August. They didn't do well. They got a 10 pounds. They had 10 pounds. I think it was what, one fish maybe?
It had to
10
be.
pounds, 16th place. October, no fish, right? So here are these guys coming in hot, and then they just struggled the rest of the season. Then they get into the championship. And let's see, where did they go? Whisker Getters with 52.2 pounds and 11th place overall. So they made just barely outside, let me see, 11th place, ninth for the season. So even though they struggled, they finished in the top 10 for the whole season. So they did well, right?
Yep.
It was all over the place. And then I'm just going to go to the top 10. So then you got the top 10. Hook 'em Big comes in the 10th place for overall. They had a 47.75 in February with a 15th place win. April, they had no fish, which is Mendocino. Then they go to 32.7.
Hey, we don't talk about Mendocino with Hook 'em Big.
Oh, I know, right? Then they have in the 14th place, so they're struggling all year at the bottom. October, we go back to Mendocino, and we don't want to talk about that, but no fish again. And then they come in with a top 5 finish with the 57.31 pounds. I was honestly rooting for Hook 'em Big to win this thing, even though I wanted to win it, obviously, but. Hook 'em Big to come in and just knowing that Daniel's a big sponsor, they do really well, and they just had a rough season, which happens to teams so often. So that's the top 10. If you want to see the rest of the list, we had a total of 39 teams that competed throughout the year. And a lot of them, didn't chase the points all season, and that's perfectly fine. If you can't make every bash and you only want to get into one or two, come out, have a great time. You don't have to chase the points. You don't have to get into the championship. For you competitive guys, that's definitely something that we do and you like. And getting into the last one on an invitation, top 10 gets you qualified, but you've got to accept the entry fee is almost double. It's a $300 entry fee. But the payout is a winner take all at $2,400. So there's some big money involved when you look at all these tournaments combined. So final thoughts before I get into some hot topics.
Yeah.
Let's see. Eric's
Let's see
looking.
here. We have Ben Harper saying, "Screw that kid."
Screw that kid.
He would have stolen that fish from the kid. Is what it sounds like.
Well, I looked at it.
That's why the kid was like concerned.
I'm like, is that a 30-pound fish, Anthony? Oh, we got to help this kid. No.
David Mayo said Mendo killed them, and Ben Harper has removed Mendocino from his mind. It no longer exists.
And what I liked about Mendocino, and what I liked about the whole season, right? If you look at each of the tournaments, we really pushed the anglers hard by mixing it up, by adding the daytime, hottest point of the day fishing to lake that people haven't fished before. And so, honestly, as much as I didn't like it, I liked it because it really mixed the thing up. And really, Darren's just going, "Nope, I didn't like it at all."
Yeah, you're kind of mentally fucked up, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So. But this is so one of the segments we do is what's in the news. We look at Facebook, we see who's catching, we see what guides are doing. Kyle Weiss is still nailing them. He's been on the Delta getting the sturgeon, and he was on the podcast a week or so ago, and he's doing really well. But one of the things I see out there on the internet today is live scope discussions. Sides or not, I call it live scope, active view, forward facing sonar, 360 view, whatever you want to call it, video game fishing. Um, it's getting to be a hot topic. You know, if you follow the news, follow posts, a lot of the bass tournaments, a lot of the pro tournaments for bass fishing, crappie fishing, are banning that technology in their tournaments as an unfair advantage. Um,
I could see it.
and I can see it as well. And so there's been some discussions about, you know, and Jake and I did talk about this earlier in the year, the subject of that technology being banned. We did have it on the table. You know, we went through a lot of rule changes this year, and that was one of the rules that we looked at: is do we ban it, do we not? And as we brought it up, we got a lot of slack or a lot of flack from some of the teams saying no, we don't. You know, it shouldn't be banned. You know, and so I'm on the fence, honestly. You know, personally. Um, you know, if I look at it, whenever you get big money involved, you know, it becomes challenging, and the whole live scope and forward facing sonar is a hot topic. And you know, honestly, we want to keep the Catfish Bash I want to say a competitive thing, but we also want to make it friendly and affordable, and make it to where people can get their feet wet. And what I'm finding is that it just brings up so much tension, and people, you know, feel like there's an unfair advantage for the guys who can afford it versus the ones that can't. And it's easy to say, well, just go buy it and use it. Well, that's cool. You can go buy it, but then again, you got to figure out how to use it, right?
But most people
Um,
just can't run out and buy it either.
No, that's true. So it kind of like, okay, because I can afford it, you know, and I can have that unfair advantage. Should it be allowed in a tournament? You know, do we want to make it more? You know, everybody has an equal playing field. So in that aspect, I'm like, we should ban it, so it's more equal, right? Um, but I think it's a tough decision that, you know, tournament directors are going to have to really think about, because you're seeing it happen in the bash and in the bass communities, where it's a lot of the big tournaments. I did some searching today to see if there was any catfish tournaments that are banning live scope, you know, in other states, and I haven't found anything. So if you guys have found something where specifically a catfish tournament has banned that technology, I'd like to hear about it. But using, you know, our favorite tools with AI, you know, you can go in and ask a lot of questions. Is the one thing that I found in it is that, you know, they're saying, you know, that it really isn't a benefit in catfishing because catfish are not suspended; they go on the bottom, so they really don't pick up the catfish. Now that's, you know, using ChatGPT to get some, you know, interesting things, and I don't believe everything I read or see on the internet, but it was an interesting point of, well, maybe, but I also believe that with that you can actually see where the bait fish are in more detail and see, you know, some more things that you couldn't see, and you know the catfish are there too. I don't
But
know.
at the same time, where you look at the what I have on my boat, my Lowrance, with the down scan, you know, and the fish reveal, it's not a live scope. It's just a more traditional sonar. You can still see the fish on the bottom.
Right.
So, I mean, if you can see those fish on the bottom with a traditional sonar, I'm sure you can see them with the live scan.
Right. And I, you know, and here's the thing is even in all of our tournaments, we'll go over, we see the bait balls. We see, you know,
Yeah,
on your regular sonar, you see the bait balls. You
yeah.
know, you can see the arches. You know those are big fish. Are they catfish? Are they carp? Are they, you know, and depending on your sonar, you can, you know, you start to know how to read your particular graph on the colors. You know, is that a big old air, you know, bladder in there, or the shape, or how big it is? You can, you know, process of elimination from your experience of using these tools kind of can determine what kind of fish that is, right?
Right.
um, but the thing is, are they going to bite, right? We've been on schools of fish, we've seen just huge arch, I mean, arch after arch after arch, and they're not hitting a thing.
Right.
So part of it is, you know, yeah, you could see the fish, but do you know what they want to eat? Do you know what they're going to hit? Now, they're catfish, they're going to hit, they're opportunists. You put something nice in front of them, you know, but this is where your hook size come into place, your what kind of bait you're using, what size of bait you're using, your presentation of what you're using, all of those factors go into it. But the question that seems to come up quite a bit is with the electronics.
Hmm.
Um, and as of now, the bash has not disqualified those as entering. I know that there's a few teams that have it, and whether they use it during a tournament or not is none of my business. Honestly, it's I know they have it. Um, I know one team that I'll mention that I believe has it is Dave Mayo, Warren Fredrickson have it. Um, but if I use them as an example and say, well, they have it. Well, I look at where they finished. Well, the first tournament of the year, I'd say, damn it, they need to not have it. Look, they finished first. These guys don't know what they're doing. They come out and win, and they have this live scope, technology. But then I watched how they did the rest of the year and went, oh yeah, I don't know. I'm not buying into it. Um, but it's just another tool, and I don't know. It's going to be challenging for the tournament directors to figure all this out and say what is the right decision to make. You got to have Richard's going to have to make that decision and say yes, I'm going to keep it or ban it or do whatever he wants. Chris is doing a tournament; he's going to have to do that. And I think it's really going to boil down to the people fishing them and what they want to see and what they want to do. And I challenge it to if you have a strong opinion on the bash, because we still have a few more weeks until January officially starts, or actually a little bit even more if you go all the way to the 10th. But if there's going to be a rule change, or Jake's going to even take it into consideration, I think it really just needs to, people got to speak up and say, this is what I want to do, or this is why, or I'm going to fish it, or I'm not going to fish it, and here's why. And if the majority of the people say, no, we don't want it, then I think you almost have to listen to that and take that into consideration. And if people that are using it are saying, well, I don't use it during catfishing, or I don't, then if it was banned, you shouldn't have a problem with it, right?
Exactly.
So I would say if you were to say, Stoney, would you want it banned or not banned? I don't have a strong opinion, but if you had to say yes, ban it, or no, ban it, I would say, yeah, they should ban it. It's just my take on it.
If you were to ask me as like a tournament director, and I know that there was, say, a handful of teams that use LiveScope, but then there's a handful and a half of teams that are saying, you know what, I'm not going to fish this because I'm tired of donating money to somebody else. You
Right.
got to take into consideration the longevity of the series. Now, are you willing to give up 5 teams for the sake of 2 teams? Are you
Right.
willing to give up the sake of 10 teams because there's 5 teams? It's something that Jake has to look at, and it's going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy decision.
No, and
It's
especially because you're dealing with a bunch of catfishing guys who like to whine and cry and cause
yep,
issues sometimes. But it's
yep.
it's just the nature of, and it's not just catfish guys. I mean, I
No,
say that
it's
jokingly.
everybody in any
It's
competition.
Yeah, I mean, I used to race cars, and they had the same thing with cars is specs of how much weight, how much this, how much that, tire size,
But I've
compression,
seen
all
you
these
run
things.
before, Stoney. You can't race
Oh,
quite too
shut
well.
up. Hey, I did pretty well racing. But there's also spec races where everybody's spec'd the same, right? So
Yeah,
you have to have the same compression, the same dynamics, the same everything is, so that's a different thing. So if you wanted to race spec, you did something different. So,
yeah.
this is just a tournament, and there's rules, and it's just, does everybody have the rules? They know what they're getting into. So I think it's worth it. If you have a strong opinion one way or the other, I think you need to bring it up to Jake and say, hey, this is, I feel this strongly, and I'm not going to fish it if they're not going to ban it, or whatever your stance is, so he can then make a decision based on the majority, right? There is a poll out there on the Goodfellas page about this exact topic. And when I last looked at it, it was like 88% of the people that voted said no. We don't want this technology in the
Send
tournament.
me that link to that Goodfellas page when you get a sec, Stoney.
Yep, you just
Yeah.
it's an open page. You just become a member. You can check it out. But the last I looked, it was like 88% said they would like to see it banned. So again, at the end of the day, it's Jake's decision, and I support Jake and whatever he decides to do with this. But this is why Jake makes the big bucks, and as
Yeah.
tournament director, you got to make those hard decisions. And Richard's going to have to do the same, right? Richard's going to
Yeah.
have to make a decision as by having this in or out, is it going to impact how many people enter? And Richard's got big money. I think he's guaranteeing, what is it, $8,000 first
Yeah.
place
He's got a
prize,
lot of money wrapped up
and
in it.
all these guys coming from out of state potentially that have technology like this. Is now, do you want the guys coming in from out of state that know how to do this stuff, who catfish for big fish, and come in here and say, well, I'm just gonna go take this 8,000 real easy because I got all this cool equipment? Is it that fair? Is that much of an advantage? I guess we'll find out. I don't know.
And I
I don't
think
know.
it's something like with Richards, if he's got people coming in from out of state, how much pre-fishing you're going to allow? Are you going to allow it up to 10 hours before, 24 hours before, a week before?
Right?
Because these guys can come with their technology from out of state, but if they don't have a chance to dial it in on the lake, might not
True.
make a difference.
Well, and that was another rule that was an interesting rule throughout the year is no pre-fishing versus fishing, right? And we did have a point where some of those tournaments were no pre-fishing 24 hours at a time.
Yeah,
And a lot of people complained, and
yeah,
we opened it up, and he changed it to, okay, well, we'll make it 12 hours, which meant 7 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning. If that was the time period, there was no pre-fishing,
and
and
then you still
everybody
have people
settled.
complain.
Right. So no matter what, you're not going to make everybody happy. It's a matter of, can we make the majority happy and what makes the most
Right.
sense. And again, if I go back to the roots of the bash, it was supposed to be, this is a fun, get your feet wet, get in there. I think the more even we can make it for everybody, the better. And for you guys that want to use live scope and use all that technology, and say Richard's not going to ban it, and he's going to then go fish those.
Yeah,
But as it is today, it's wide open. There's nothing in the rules about using it, not using it. Will it change? I guess that's up to Jake, and we'll find out what he decides to do um, to appease the majority. I mean, like you said, if two people are complaining that they're not going to fish because they have it and they want to use it, and you got five people that say, well, I'm not going to fish it because you are using it. I mean, it's a numbers thing to me.
yeah,
Give me the five teams as opposed to the two teams. So we want to grow this. We want
yeah,
to do what people want to happen, right?
yeah,
So just listen. I mean, and this is just a business thing, right? I even do it in my own business. Is I got to listen to my customers. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to run things. But if I'm losing business because I'm not doing what the customer wants, then
yeah,
I got to rethink. What am I doing, right? Regardless of what I think, I've got a lot of clients that I freaking hate.
yeah,
But I love them because they give me business, and I'm going to do what I can to make them happy at the end of the day. It's
yeah,
about making them happy. And, as a tournament director, I don't see that any different. You're
yeah,
going to have to, cater to your customers.
yeah. Because that's
And
basically what we are as customers, um, in a sense. To
in a
to
sense,
keep this tournament moving forward and growing, you've got to listen to your customers.
right. And if you got so many people saying, well, I'm not going to fish it, well, guess what? Your numbers go down. And I
Yeah,
and I think our numbers have gone down a little bit over the year, looking at, if we did everything perfectly, which, it's going to be tough. We did everything perfectly. We had 39 teams that
hmm,
fished, one to multiple bashes, right?
right.
But if I were to do an analysis to say how many of them fish, I know how to spin data. I can spin it all kinds of ways. But if I look at how many people, fish every single bash and just do a percentage, you fish six bashes, you fished five, four, just look at the percentage of how many. And then if you really wanted to dive into it, go back to these teams that didn't come back and ask why.
Yeah,
Why did you not come back? Oh, I was only intended to doing one tournament. Perfect. Okay. But
yeah,
it's like, if you get the feedback that says, oh, because of the drama or because of this or because of that, or, it's like because of live scope. I mean, then you've got data, but you got to ask the question,
yeah,
um, and then make a decision based on the data.
yeah, for sure.
So I think I beat this up enough. There's tons of comments. I can't even read them, but I know there's a lot of comments in there that are coming through. You guys that are online can see those comments, reply to those comments. At the end of the day, I would say just reach out to Jake if you're interested in what was going to happen with the bash. Give him your feedback. Let him know whether you want it, don't want it, or if you even don't care. Say, I don't care one way or the other. We're fishing it regardless.
Yeah,
But give them your feedback so we can make a decision and make it right. Are you going to make everybody happy? Absolutely not. But if you can make the majority happy, then I think that's what we need to do.
yeah,
Um,
I
I'm running
agree.
for president next year. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
You
Lord.
tried that once. We still have the campaign stickers.
We do. Um, so let's see what else is on my set. We kind of talked a little bit about what's on your mind about the bash and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I do want to remind people to go to oldfartsfishing.com. We do have an online store. You can get all your catfish bash apparel as well as Old Farts apparel and a few different just generic things with fishing related apparel, whether it's a bass, a catfish, a sturgeon. We've got some cool designs out there, but if there's something specifically you want us to design for you, and you think it's something that's going to sell, we can do that too. But we're kind of growing that. And a few orders. We got some coffee mugs. We got driving with Stoney Stone mugs in there. So all you guys that have dash cams, send us your dash cam footage. We'd love to highlight some of the crazy stuff that you see. And team announcements. I'm getting close here. 5 minutes to go. I want to say a half-ass announcement. I've been talking about there's some changes coming with the Old Farts fishing team, and the one big thing that's coming is I've talked a little bit about this. This isn't about me, but you got to understand about me before we understand what I'm doing with the team. Is I am having some serious back issues, and the last tournament here.
What? Wait, hold on. What? You're having what issues?
Back issues.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Uh-huh.
That's why I can't give you crap about your back issues. 'Cause, I've been fighting this for probably a year now and doing a lot of tests, a lot of different things. But there's arthritis that's severely developed in my back, which is going to require a back surgery to take place. And so I am on a waiting list. Our lovely healthcare system, it's like you got to be half dead before you can get in there. And they're like, oh, you're in pain, you can deal with it. Oh, but we're not going to give you anything for it because it's a addictive substance. So I end up to take non-addictive substances to deal with my pain right now. But it is going to be a back surgery. So with that
Cocaine
being
is addictive, Stoney.
but with that being said, the surgery could be in January. It could be February. I don't know. I'm waiting. I call every other day. They probably get tired of me calling, saying when am I getting scheduled? But I need to get this taken care of so I can continue to fish. But with that being said, I am most likely not going to register Old Farts Fishing for next year. Or at least I'm not going to register until January 9th, maybe, if I have something between now and then that gives me a date that makes sense. But it doesn't mean I'm not involved in the bash. I'm still working with Jake. I'm still doing everything that I do today while I can. I just probably will not be fishing. Anthony and I have talked about it. It's something that, I got to get healthy in order for me to continue doing what I do. If that means I got to take a year off to have surgery, recover, and get back in it, then that's a hard decision that I've got to make.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Tell me about it. I'm like, today I was in pain. I could barely walk yesterday. After the tournament, Anthony had to do all the heavy lifting, and then come to find out when we load the boat on the trailer, I have one of the bunks is broken, rotten out, so I got to fix that now. And luckily, I've got some good friends between Darren and Anthony that are probably going to help me get that thing situated and fixed and back up and running. So when we do take it back out,
Yeah.
but yeah. That's what's going on. I'm still involved. I'll still be behind the scenes and doing everything we do. If I can walk, I'll be, or in a wheelchair, I'll be out there doing announcing that we do. But in the event that there's going to be at least probably 3 months of I'm just going to be recovering with
Recovery. Yeah.
recovery. And then, and one of the things of recovery is I got to be on my feet. I can't be laying down, just sitting on the bed or a couch or whatever. I got to be moving. And if I got to go to Clear Lake and register, or not register, but to announce and stuff, that's what I'll do to keep me sane. Because if I'm just a vegetable sitting around, I just put a bullet in me, I'm done. But yeah, that wasn't the planned big announcement. It's a changed announcement. There's been a lot that's happened in 2 days. There's still more to happen. Darren and I have some things to discuss with just overall fishing, and if just depending on what happens over the next few weeks with rules, what Jake decides to do, what my body decides to do, what my surgeon decides to do, all these kind of play into what's going to happen. It doesn't mean we're out of it forever. It just means that I've got some things I got to do. And then, Darren and Anthony, I'm just saying, Darren and Anthony may hook up and end up creating another team. And I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea where that's going.
Be a little polyamorous.
No,
boat
no,
team,
no,
so-
no. Do no polyamorous. Yeah, Darren's like, yeah, no.
You guys having an open boat team?
No.
You.
No, but there's a lot I threw at you guys on this podcast. it's been a great, hard season. I wish everybody the best of luck next year in the bash. Next year's gonna be a pivotal point with the catfish scene because you've got the bash that kind of dominated all this year, and now you got Richard and Chris throwing in some things, so people are gonna have lots of choices in what they want to fish, what rules they want to fish under, and it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds and who withstands the year and comes back in 2027. But all you guys as customers or as fishermen, you're going to have a lot of choices and have fun deciding. It'd be great if you could do them all.
Yep.
Yep. Any final words or comment we got to address, or we're just gonna
Nope, I'm good.
comments later? You're good. Darren's like, I'm ready to go to sleep. Shut up
Yeah.
already. Nope. I'm gonna go back and get medicated and try to go to sleep because I have not been sleeping. And thank you all. Appreciate all our sponsors, all the sponsors of the Bash, Pandemic Fishing, which is I should say Permits and Development for sponsoring the Bash, Hook 'em Big, Snag 'em and Bag 'em. You guys sponsor them, but you also Snag 'em and Hook 'em Big are big sponsors of Old Farts Fishing. And that's all I got for tonight. Thank you all for calling in. We will see you next week. And I'm looking for a guest. If you got a product, you got something to sell or something to say, or even a catfish team that wants to have a few words, let me know. We'll get you on the podcast and we can interview you. So everybody have a good night, and we will talk to you soon.
Stay safe on the water.